Hello and welcome to this controversial corner. I am Sam Turner and this is my first time being in the corner as such. Jake did a brilliant job at hosting the first controversial corner last week. He was talking about Declan Rice's decision to change allegiances from Ireland to England, so go check that out if you haven't already. But for those that maybe have missed that and just continue watching this one, basically Controversial Corner is where me or Jake discuss a controversial topic and kind of have a bit of a debate about it and listen to people's opinions. We normally put a poll out on Twitter, and where you can kind of express your opinions and kind of vote in a poll, obviously, and we put it on today's and on these kind of videos. With no further ado, with that all explained, we shall move on to do today's topic. Now, today's topic is the recent news that Joachim Löw, the German coach, has recently come out and said that he will no longer be picking Jerome Boateng, Matt Hummels, and Thomas Muller, the Bayern Munich trio there, for the German national team from now on. Now, this kind of comes out of the recent failure at the World Cup that Germany experienced last year in Russia, where they couldn't even make it out the group stage, and where they eventually kind of they lost to teams such as Mexico, and could only draw against Sweden, and of course got that loss against South Korea as well. And it comes out after the media backlash after that, where lots of the Bayern Munich players in the German national team were kind of basically blamed for the situation that was going on. So basically, Joachim Löw came out yesterday saying that it's a new era for German football, kind of a new beginning, should I say, actually. And I guess this is kind of in a response to that World Cup and the two that being the Bayern Munich players being blamed. I mean, these players are still young. I think it's like 30, and maybe 31, all three of them. So it's not like these are old players, but I guess what Joachim Löw is thinking, and maybe what the German national team board is also thinking, is it's time for a change. These players are going to be old when it comes to the next World Cup, and they'll be actually pretty old as well when it comes to the next Euros next year. So I guess it's the perfect opportunity after a failure like they had at the World Cup in Russia to move on. So that's what I'm thinking Joachim Löw is thinking. We wanted to get your opinions on the matter, and specifically whether you think this is a good idea from the German national team and from Joachim Löw, because of course the trio have probably around, I think it's 150 caps plus altogether. I think like Muller's above 50. They're all above 50 caps, and it's a lot of loss of experience. So we wanted to know what you thought. So we put a poll up on Twitter which had the following results. So yes, we asked you specifically on Twitter. We wanted to know whether you think this is the right decision for Germany going forward. The options were yes, no, and then other, which you could comment below expressing your opinions. Now, we had 58 votes in this, so thank you for getting involved, basically. So 36% of you thought that yes, it was a good idea, but the majority of you thought it was not a good idea, with 62% of people saying no. And then of course there was, I think, one vote or maybe two votes with 2% of people saying other. But yes, the overall consensus on that was that it wasn't a good idea. And before we go on to kind of my opinions on the matter, we do actually have a few comments that people left on Twitter. One was in Dutch, so sorry for any bad translation, but here are the two comments. So, one of the comments on our Twitter was from Luke GY123, and that read, "Allow the youngsters a chance to prove themselves. Oldies have been poor. Right move." So I guess he is in support of Joachim Löw there. Kind of the same basis as I said at the start, that these oldies as such, I wouldn't say they're that old, but they are getting on the later part of the career, as I said earlier, have been poor for the German national team, and they haven't been performing. So it looks like Luke there is in agreement. The other tweet was a Dutch tweet as such. It was in Dutch, and it was from @Bart Juhz. Not sure about that, but yes, the translation's a bit odd, and I probably haven't got the gist of what you mean. But it basically said completely different team in the qualification later with the hashtag Netherlands versus Deutschland, Germany. So I assume what he is trying to get at here is that Germany will be using a completely different team in the qualification. I think I don't know what he's trying to mean, but it'll be different to the other Germany side that faced Holland in the or the Netherlands in the Nations League. And I guess maybe he's trying to say it's going to be a new start. So I'm not sure quite what you meant there, but thank you for the 2 comments all the same. But yes, now it is on to my opinion, of course, on the matter. So Germany are a very, very good national team. And I know they had a poor World Cup, and they did have a poor Nations League, kind of losing to the Netherlands as well, and basically getting relegated, of course, from the Nations League. And if you haven't already, you should go check out my article for the Falmouth Anchor, my university newspaper, where I talked about Felix Magath, basically how he might have kept Germany up or might not have, but go check that article. It's down in the description below. But yes, I do think Germany are a good national team, and I don't know quite how this will affect the dynamics of the national team. Of course, Muller, Boateng and Hummels are very kind of big core of that German national team, and to fill those boots will be hard for any youngster, no matter how talented they are. I mean, I just think it's a bit maybe rash decision to say you're not going to pick them at all, because what if you get an injury to a young player in that German national team? Who are you going to call up? And even a younger player? It's just a bit odd to rule it out completely. And I do understand how it's a great chance to bring in youth players into the German side, bring a bit kind of a new era to that Germany national side. And I mean, there are some players that will kind of really benefit from these players leaving, such as Leroy Sané and Jonathan Tah at Leverkusen. And these players will kind of, as I said, enjoy more time playing for Germany and potentially become the backbone of a future Germany side. But is it too soon? And is it kind of, are you discarding these 3, I have to say, magnificent players, maybe not of recent years, are you discarding them too soon? It's a bit harsh, I feel, because they've done their country a really good service in the end, but it feels like just because they've had one bad spell, they're being flung out the door as kind of a scapegoat as such. So I'm slightly undecided by it. I think there's benefits and there are weaknesses. If I was to make a final decision, I would say it's a bit brash, because you could always call up these players to the national squad but just not play them, have them on the bench. And I don't know if that's an insult to them, but in my eyes it's not. It's a way of using these players to influence the next generation while they come through, because if the young generation are just thrown into the deep end with no one there to kind of guide them, it's going to end badly no matter what, in my eyes. So I think overall, actually, if I were to make a decision, this is a bad decision by Joachim Low. But of course, you can continue the debate down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Of course, keep the comments nice, please. No arguments getting too out of hand. Just keep it football related and don't be kind of mean or anything. But yes, thank you for watching this controversial corner, my first controversial corner. We hope to see you in the next one, and don't forget you can get involved in the polls and all. You can get your opinions heard on our controversial corners. And before we wrap up, I just want to say there were a few comments from the last controversial corner that Jake did about Declan Rice. One of them was from William Bishop, saying if Declan Rice felt English, he should never have played for Ireland in the first place. And the other one was from George Prickett, who thought basically that William was completely correct. But yes, thank you for watching. That's all from me. Enjoy your footballing weekend. And don't forget to check out our podcast on Spotify and iTunes, or even Spreaker. But yes, see ya!
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you'd like to get involved with us online, you can do so on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram and Snapchat. We do lots of polls and posts on there. That is all under Box Commentary. And then secondly, if you'd like to listen to our podcasts on different websites and devices, you can do so on iTunes, Spreaker and YouTube. All of those are under the Commentary Box. And then lastly, to personally get involved with us via email to ask any questions or queries, you can do under the email of thecommentary.box.contact@gmail.com.
Jerome Boateng, Thomas Muller, and Matt Hummels.